The handsome young man who picks me up at my Calgary accommodation is not just a driver. He is the pilot for the day's flight. I was impressed with the service from the start, as the helicopter pilot came to pick me up personally. I'm staying in downtown Calgary, so it's about a 45-minute drive to the heliport. The temperature comfortable? A little hot. It was -20 in downtown Calgary today, so I had to pack extra layers for the tour. Which was a bit of a surprise because it's winter and I get cold easily. So the heated car felt warm. I thought it would be colder when we went up in the helicopter, so I put on more layers. No, it's not that cold in the helicopter, he says, laughing at my layers. After all, I paid for a beginner's t-shirt for my first helicopter ride. I'm alone, scared, and sweaty to the soles of my feet thanks to my layers. I look up at the sky, there's a storm coming, and I'm a little worried. Last weekend I had to cancel all my booked guests, because there was no visibility at all. I'm lucky to get one piece of weather when I travel. So don't worry too much, it'll be fine when we get there. I shouted loudly and focused my camera on the pure white snow on the horizon outside the window. And when I looked closely at the Rocky Mountains in the distance, I saw that rain clouds were gathering. I've come all the way to the Rockies in such a cold winter. Should I see the cloudy Rockies? Traveling is a sleeping journey, and the impression you get from the weather changes. I'm a little worried. The handsome pilot keeps the thermometer between 110 and 120. But in the back of my mind, I keep looking at the sky towards the Rockies to see if I'm worried about the weather. The snowy landscape of the Rockies that I could see when I left. Calgary is becoming less and less visible as I get closer, and the clouds are getting thicker and thicker. Halfway up the highway towards Banff, you'll see the casino building on your left, and the heliport in Kananaskis Valley on your right after exit 118. When I finally get out of the car, it's colder than I expected. It's also windy. I hadn't even eaten lunch and the weather is anti. Before I can relax and sip a cup of cocoa, the wind is blowing sleet and snowflakes. The sun is peeking through the clouds on the other side of the mountain. So it's not all hopeless. But I realize that a helicopter ride in this weather might not give me the perfect view. I call out, lucky day. We should be on the ground by now. But maybe we can wait another 20 minutes to check the weather and have a coffee? After all, he's a pilot, so there's no point in going up now. There are already a few other helicopters at the helipad that haven't taken off. So I'm thankful we decided to wait instead of canceling. Depending on the type of helicopter, the maximum number of passengers can be 4 to 6. But the blue helicopter we were going to ride in was reserved for 3 people. There is no such thing as a helicopter tour in Korea, so I was really nervous to go from something as big as an airplane to something so small. The helicopter is actually safer than a regular airplane, because it doesn't need an engine, air conditioning, or other equipment. And it can be adjusted by the pilot by rotating the wings, which is advantageous when flying over narrow terrain such as mountains. The pilot, who emphasizes the safety of helicopter tours with a relaxed smile, says that his work cycle is 3 weeks on and 1 week off. When I ask him which season he likes best, he says he can't say, because all 4 seasons are different. And he's currently working 2 weeks and resting 1 week during the winter off-season. Even as we relax over a cup of tea, the young pilot keeps checking the weather. Suddenly he says it's okay to go up, now that he wants to go out and get ready first. Before boarding the helicopter, passengers are given some instructions at the reception. They tell you to stay as low as possible within the range of the blades, and that once you're in the helicopter, the pilot will take care of the seat belt, noise protection headset, etc. When you sit down in the helicopter, you will feel a vibration in your buttocks along with the sound of the engine. The pilot will idle for about 2 minutes to get ready for takeoff, and then the helicopter will lift off the ground like a balloon. At first, you're supposed to scream and enjoy the helicopter ride, but it's so smooth that there are no surprises or screams. It's so smooth that you wonder if it's a helicopter. There was a little bit of turbulence when we were high in the sky and then turned or rotated, but that was due to the airflow that occurs with altitude. Of course, they could make it intentionally turbulent to make it feel like an amusement park ride, but they don't have to and they don't. I wanted to feel like I was heli jumping and soaring over the Rockies, but I let my imagination get the best of me. Sensing my disappointment, the The pilot laughs and tells me not to try to feel the thrill with my swaying body, but to capture Loki's emotion with my eyes. I thought it would be all white in the winter, but the Rocky Mountains are more dynamic than I expected. As I flew over the Kananaskis Valley in a helicopter, I could see white ski slopes in the distance, frozen rivers, and valleys that had not yet frozen over. In the summer, the mountains are alive with waterfalls, people playing golf on the golf course, and wildlife running around in the forest. In short, it's more spectacular to look at the Rockies from the sky than from the ground. Best of all, sitting on the left side of the driver's seat, I don't mind the slight smell of oil, but the cool breeze from the Rockies through the window. The helicopter above us has climbed to 8,500 feet. It's cloudy today, so we're not exactly flying toward the Three Sisters, but toward the valley with the lake on the other side. Of course, in good weather it can climb to 12,000 feet. So I turn around and imagine the vastness of the Rockies the next time I see them. Shall we take a break? The pilot asks, and we land at a familiar orange-flagged spot. He invites the travelers to get off the ground and enjoy the great outdoors for a while, to cool down the engines that have been spinning so fast. I look down and see the Bow River flowing lazily below. I jump up and down shouting, "Yeho, yeho!" But the pilot grabs my hand and tells me to be careful because the snow is frozen and the ground is slippery. I follow the friendly pilot to his secret rock overlooking the Bow River. "This is my secret place that I often visit," he laughs, holding a bottle of champagne out of his red bag. Everyone is surprised by what he pulls out of the bag, a fancy wine glass. Inside the slender wine glass is an adorable chocolate that looks like it was wrapped by Santa Claus. As everyone's jaws drop, he explains that he has a romantic helicopter package for honeymooners. And this is just a small recreation of some of the courses. All the passengers on the flight were single and they all laughed happily, and said that they would definitely participate in such a honeymoon helicopter package again. I said, "Please don't fly the helicopter in that romantic package. It's not good service for the guests. And it's not good service for the groom, who is ugly. Because the handsome pilot might ruin their romance," and the young pilot laughed out loud. So we opened the champagne and sipped it coolly in the cold winds of the winter Rockies, with the Bow River as our friend. If leaving everyday life is the beginning of travel, then experiencing it is the whole point of travel. It is true that the curiosity of a traveler who is not in Korea played a greater role, but I was also afraid. But it was the helicopter and the touching service of the wonderful pilot that made me remember the cold winter sky of the Rocky Mountains warmly. Being carried in a helicopter, sipping champagne in the great outdoors and feeling at one with nature. In the end, this beautiful experience of being intoxicated by nature and touched by people reminds me that travel is a special time, not an everyday thing. Staying in the moment for a long time. Not being drunk as in drunk, not being awake as in awake. Not traveling as in traveling, and not feeling like you're traveling as in traveling. That's what traveling really is. And so I stayed for a long time, intoxicated by the scenery of the winter Rockies. As I looked down with the little vibration of the helicopter, and my travel diary could not be filled with anything earthly, and I could stay quiet for a while in this joyful feeling.